So, got this Sparkmaker FHD. I'm going to figure out how to take this thing apart. Looks like probably going to be doing a lot of guesswork here. So these hold this rod up, or not rod, but the stabilizing back end. Let's see. These this little side plate here, basically just a cover. It looks like it doesn't actually do anything. This thing holds something on. Oh, and a couple of nuts. I would assume the nuts are from this base connector right here, this base cover, probably from underneath. I'll get to that later, I guess. Good idea. So the switch arm is a little bit in the way of this thing for it to slide off. So hopefully nothing in here is spring loaded. Nothing's just gonna fly out if I unscrew something. Right? Right? All right. So the issue I'm having is this. I don't know if you can see a little, just the smallest wiggle right here in the Z-axis. So when it presses down against the plate, the Z-axis pops back a little bit, and it looks like it's this rod right here, this support beam, is what is not tightened enough. Hopefully I can find that out here in a few minutes. This thing here, so we've got a few screws up at the top. So we've got hex screws and then Phillips screws. The Phillips screws, it looks like, are holding on the switch arm, the photovoltaic switch arm. And then we've got this, which is the cap to the mount to the arm, the support arm. Let's see. Do I need to remove that to get to this? Let's find out. Oh, it looks like we're at the top of the drive shaft. Ah, I see. So these long screws at the top, this long screw here, holds this whole thing to this, which then screws up and down along the main screw here. Interesting. Okay, that's nice. So if I unscrew this, which is plastic, I'm sure it might be worth reprinting or maybe getting a metal one of those manufactured one way or another. This whole thing slides right off the top. Got some, looks like ball bearings in there, some identifying numbers, some extra grease, Suppose we don't need to mess too much with that stuff. Good, good. So now I have access to this whole thing here. Oh, which... does this whole thing just come right out the bottom? No, it does not. With this top still on, we're not getting anywhere. Alright, so let's see what we have underneath. So yeah, the cover screws that go in here screw into a nut that would be slid in here. Other than that, there's nothing else on the bottom to remove except for this arm, this big arm here, which is attached by these 3 bolts. See if I can set this in such a way that I can unscrew it without things just falling all over the place. Wow, look at that. Alright, so these 2 screws at either side of this rail, this whole support rail, are the ones that keep it steady. So without that, that loosened up real good. Looks like they do also have some kind of little spring washer to help keep them tight, I would assume. Keep them from loosening up from any vibration. Not doing a good job, I guess. Or hell, maybe the whole thing was loose when I got it and I just never noticed. Got a couple good prints. And then a couple not so good prints. Well, actually I haven't had any good prints since the first couple. Oh, look at that. The whole thing slides right up. Oh, okay. So these came from the very bottom. So these three holes along the back bottom connect to this. That's these 3 little screws that I've got right here. Alright, so this, let's stick this one little screw back where it belongs because it doesn't need to be off completely. Alright, so this whole thing looks pretty flat, which it should be. Yep. Let's see if anything is loose along the backbone. Yep, alright. So, that's all tight. So it does look like the Z-axis is pretty much held together by these 5 screws. The 3 down at the bottom and these 2 right here. Alright, get those nice and tight. Everything's flat. Let's see. Do I have another flat? Well, this should be flat. It's my build plate here. Yep. Everything looks pretty flat and straight. Great, wonderful, perfect. For the purposes of the issue that I was having, I'm not going to get into the electronics on the inside. I really don't need that. And until something happens in there, I'd rather not mess with it. So, slide this right back down. sets into place. Large hex. So that sets into place. Let's see if I can get these finger tightened first. Looks like I might need to learn some video editing skills. Edit this down a little bit. It's 21 minutes. It's way too long. Get these down to about finger tight. Don't want to tighten these down too much without the other ones in place. So we get a little wiggle like that. So let's pop this over. That was these 3 little screws here with the washer. It's kind of just dark in there, so guesswork on finding the hole. Alright, these 3 guys in here. We'll start with the center. Get it a little bit, just don't tighten it down too much. Now to one side, other side. And then we start tightening them down. One side, then the other, then the center. And then back. We'll see what we get. Alright. Now back to these. Tighten these guys down. See, this is moving. And it feels like it shouldn't. Alright, that tightened down pretty nicely. This one over here has a little bit of a wiggle to it. I guess the other one does as well. Interesting. Basically put everything back together in the reverse order. Tighten everything up and should be ready to go. Hopefully this is informational for somebody. Oh, don't mind my cat there. Ugh. Ugh. Extra grease. Gross.